Okay. All right. Um, hello, Patrick. Hello, Patrick and Aziz and Mia. This is Courtney Holmberg, and this is my module 2. So to begin, we're going to start with mediation. Mediation contains an antecedent, mediator, and a consequence. So A and C can also be interpreted as X and Y, but essentially we're assessing the A predicting the C. Our mediator sits between a causal agent A and our consequence C. It is considered a temporal relationship because A occurs before the mediator and the mediator occurs before C. For our first mediation analysis, a new Y was computed from the dataset, and we ran a linear regression through process, and this is what the input model looks like. We compute the new Y by adding Y and RV normal. So for the outcome variable M in the first box at the top right, X is A, which is the relationship between X and M, or A and M, and that variable is 1.1494, and the p-value tells us that it is significant. Next, for the outcome variable NY, the middle box, M is B, which is the relationship between M and Y, and that value is 1.0668, and the p-value is significant as well. X in this model is C prime, which is the relationship between X and Y, and this value is not significant. Looking at the indirect effect of X on Y, there is an indirect effect because 0 is not included in the confidence interval. And we use bootstrapping rather than Sobel test because according to Preacher and Hayes, bootstrapping has higher power while maintaining reasonable control over the type 1 error rate. However, non-significant C prime does not mean anything because according to Barron and Kenny's checklist, C prime isn't on the list, so we want to figure out C, and to do so, we do this by running a regression. So, in our regression, 1.114 is our C, and it's significant, so we can say there is a relationship between X and Y. Because the B path is significant and the C path, because the B path is not significant and the C path is significant, we can conclude that there is a partial mediation, so we fail to rule out mediation. So, we run another mediation analysis. This was conducted in order to produce a situation without an indirect effect. In the first model, again, X is A, and this is significant, and then X1, X is C prime, and this is significant too. But again, this does not matter. And then M is B, and this is not significant. And then looking at our confidence interval, this includes 0, which means there's no indirect effect, so we can rule out mediation. So now we're going to move into moderation. Moderation is similar to mediation because they both can have a direct effect on Y, but they do not share the same causal structure. Moderation influences the effect between a primary predictor and an outcome. According to the Barron and Kenny, they define a moderator as qualitative or quantitative variable, which affects the direction and or strength of the relation between an independent or predictor variable and a dependent or criterion variable. Also, when testing moderators, we must center the variables. So, what's this data? We created x1 and x2 using RV normal. Then we created a dichotomous variable and used the checks and x's to create a new y to make 3 out of 16 plots, which we practice when analyzing moderation. So we can correctly interpret the interaction on B3. It is imperative to center x1 and x2, dichotomous. After those are centered, we multiply them to get the interaction variable, then run a regression, and the y we created, then run a regression with the y we created, and the centered x1 and the centered dichotomous x2. B not is significant because the line is not at 0. B1 is not significant because the slope of the line is at 0, and B2 is significant because there's the difference between where the intercepts begin, and B3 is significant because the slope is not at 0. After running the regression analysis, it can be concluded that x1 and x2 and the interaction are all significant. Next, B with this x's and checks, B not is not significant because the line is at 0. B1 is not significant because the slope of the line is 0. B2 is significant because there's a difference between where the intercepts begin, and B3 is not significant because the slope is at 0. After writing the regression analysis, we determined that x1 is not significant, x2 is significant, and the interaction is not significant. Lastly, B0 is significant because the line is not 0. B1 is significant because the slope of the line is not 0. B2 is not significant because there's not a difference between where the intercepts begin, and B3 is not significant because there's no difference in the slopes. After running the regression analysis, it can be concluded that x1 is significant and x2 and the interaction are not significant. So, this is the end of my module 2. I hope you enjoyed it, and my last thing to say is that since, we got some significant values, let's all go party at the pub. So, that's it. Have a good night.